Perfect. There it is. Let me see.
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and record it too.
Might as well. Yes. People, come on now. People gotta be on time. Never on time. It's crazy.
No one's ever on time, man. You can't put the bar too high.
Yeah, you're right. I know you can't, but it's free, so you can't.
You'd be surprised, bro. You'd be surprised. You know how much free stuff I put out, and some people bite on it more than others, but there's a good chunk of people that are sitting there following me that don't take me up on any of my stuff. So
yeah, it's crazy. I literally just sent a DM to.
While we're waiting, though, if anyone has any nutrition questions you're coming in with, definitely go ahead. Feel free to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask, or you can type in the chat, whatever you prefer. But yeah, you should get something for being on time. So any questions you guys have, any things you want me to cover in particular, because I might obviously have a presentation, but I could completely scrap the slides and just go off of whatever questions you guys have, because I really want to make sure that this is valuable for you guys. So go ahead and ask anything, any topics you've been wondering about, any questions, any struggles. Definitely feel free to let me know how I can best help you guys.
Anybody? You had an extra question? You can type it in or say it.
For sure.
Yo.
Yeah, and at the end, I'll be sharing you guys
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, what's up? Yeah, go ahead.
Yo, what's up, Tommy? It's Maddie.
What's good? What's up?
Yeah, so I had a question about like in terms of protein shakes and in terms of taking them. So like should we use them sparingly, or like should we take it on a consistent basis, like assuming we want to like gain muscle?
Yeah, so it depends. For most athletes, most people will probably benefit from getting one in, just because most people struggle to hit their protein target. If they're not, I mean, it's definitely a depends situation. It's not that protein shakes are bad. It's that if you can get your protein from whole foods, get your protein from whole foods. But at the same time, as a basketball player, if you're going to use like a smoothie or something, just toss some protein powder in. That could be a really easy way to hit your protein intake. But I wouldn't rely on it 2-3 times a day. Then that's getting to be a little bit too much. But if you're having 1 serving a day, even 2 servings a day is fine. Even if you were to have 3 servings of protein powder in a day, it's not going to hurt you. It's just that you're not getting the other things that come along with protein in whole foods, like the vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. So definitely not a bad thing. And most hoopers benefit from it just because they struggle to get their protein intake in. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be afraid of taking protein powder. The biggest thing, I'm sure you've seen the YouTube video that I put out about protein powder, making sure it's NSF certified or just some sort of third-party testing to make sure that you're getting a clean supplement. But other than that, there's really nothing to worry about there.
So like my question was actually more so about, okay, I'm gonna try and like make this analogy. So like you know how if like you don't want to take ice baths all the time, you want to like use them sparingly. So like,
I see what you're saying. Nah, there's really nothing. Like there's no rationale to like limit protein shake consumption for that reason.
Gosh, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. There's a couple people.
For sure.
Trying to get 1 or 2 more, and then we'll get started probably at 8:05 without a doubt.
Okay, sounds good. And then at the end, I'll be sharing you guys some info about. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So like I don't know like if this is true or not, but like if you take like protein powder before like bed, does that like increase your
Hey Tom, sorry to cut you off, Tommy. There's people waiting in the lobby. I for some reason.
I got you. Yeah, I know. Got you. Okay, 1 sec.
There's like 4 people that just hit me.
Yeah, there's 3 in there. There should be. Oh no, there's more. I forgot I was the host. They should be. Everyone should be in now. Okay, cool.
Wow,
cool.
Yeah, we. It sounds. I guess we can get. Oh, sorry, Maddie, finish your question and then we'll get started.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was just ask if you take protein powder before bed, does that increase your gains more than if you would take it other time during the day?
No, if it did, it would be very minimal. Some people say take casein protein powder, which is a quote unquote slow digesting protein powder before bed. I've heard conflicting positions on this. Some people say it does help. Some people say it doesn't. If it does, it's going to be very minimal. And as a basketball player, it's probably not something to really worry about. I would honestly rather see you not eat anything right before bed. Obviously, it's going to be dependent on the individual situation, but for the most part, you don't want to eat right before bed because that could potentially affect sleep quality. But again, there's individual situations where that might be beneficial. But in terms of it making or breaking anything, it's really not going to do all that much. But if it's something you prefer or enjoy for some reason,
Gotcha.
There's nothing really wrong with it.
Right. Real quick, is there any way I can kind of help you accept participants or?
Oh yeah, let me see if I can make you, because I had you can record it, but let me see if I can make you a co-host. Make host.
That way, yeah, so people can that way while you're talking, if somebody shows up, I can just let them in. So
okay. I just made you the host again. I think I'm still able to share the screen.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm still able to record. So cool. I think we should be good to go now. You should be able to let people in.
Yeah. So we'll get started here. All right. Hey, thanks guys for showing up and coming here. Right. This is really a free seminar. And Tommy, we've been talking back and forth, and we've been trying to get on this for a while now, and we decided to partner up, and I wanted to be able to get him to help all the athletes that I've interacted and those who actually just want to learn, and because he's putting out content daily, he's doing his research, he's in my opinion, he's one of the up and coming nutritionists in the game. So I wanted to me personally establish this relationship, so when I have my dreams and I know he has his dreams, and we both, kind of, I can see us, getting to a high level, and we're both, kind of pushing each other and helping each other out. Because nutrition and basketball, go hand in hand, and you'll learn that, in this presentation. So if I were you guys, I would have a notebook, take some notes, right? And then at the end, we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A. If you have a question, I would prefer you write it down, and then that way at the end we can kind of go in an orderly fashion. That way he can kind of address everything during this, and then after he can take some time to answer some of your questions. So Tommy, they're all yours. Give them a little background, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. No, I appreciate you having me on. I always enjoy these types of talks, and I like the webinar format because you get to talk to everyone individually versus a YouTube video. You don't know who's watching, so it's cool to see everyone in here, and I appreciate you guys showing up, and I hope you guys find value out of this. And if you have any specific questions about anything I talk about in the presentation, feel free to stop me at that point if it's something relevant to the slide we're on or what we're talking about. If you have more of a general question just about nutrition, we'll do that Q&A at the end, so definitely feel free to ask it then. And then we should be good to go. So as you can see on the screen right now, today we're going to be just going over 3 of the major mistakes in terms of nutrition as Ubers make all the time that are really destroying your performance on the court. And what you'll find is that they're going to be super simple. It's not going to make anything crazy complicated, but they matter a lot. And I could probably count on one hand the amount of hoopers I've talked to that aren't making any of these. So odds are you're probably making one of these right now, and it's limiting you on the court in terms of your performance. So definitely pay attention and listen to the tactics and strategies I'm going to tell you guys, because it's definitely going to impact your game positively if you're able to walk away from this and actually implement it. And I'll share a way at the end that can help you guys do that, and I guarantee that happens. But that's pretty much what we'll talk about today. And then as we get into it, welcome. Like I said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. My name is Tommy Clark. I'm a nutrition coach. I'm a former college basketball player, played D3 for a little bit. And that's kind of how I got into nutrition. I was never the most athletic guy on the court. I was the guy who stood in the corner, shot threes. Like that was my game. And luckily I was good enough at it that I was able to just do hard work and going to camps and getting in front of coaches, emailing coach after coach after coach after coach, get the opportunity to play at that next level. When I got to that next level, it was a wake-up call. Like I said, I wasn't the most athletic, and hard work and just training hard got me through high school and put me in a good position in high school. But when I got to college, it was a wake-up call in that I knew there was something more that I had to do because I just wasn't athletic enough to keep up with guys at that level. And I wasn't fast enough, wasn't explosive enough, was pretty much a liability on the court. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to that. Maybe you've been told by a coach that you were a liability on the court, or you're too slow on defense. And that's why you're not getting the playing time you want, or that's why you're not getting the looks you want in terms of getting looks from college coaches and things like that. So I definitely feel you if you're in that position, like I was too. And when I made it to that level, like I said, something wasn't there. I didn't know what it was though, because I was that kid who was in the gym 6-7 days a week, 2-3 times a day. And I was just kind of lost because at that point I was doing everything I thought I should have been doing to be a great basketball player. I was in the gym. I was watching the film. I was in the weight room. I was doing extra mobility stuff. I was watching those instructional YouTube videos you see in this, and literally anything I could find to try and get better, I was doing, but it still just was not clicking. And I was frustrated. I felt stuck. I was like, I'm working super hard, but then there's this guy over here that's not doing anywhere near the amount of work that I'm doing, but he's just playing better. I don't get it. And that's where nutrition came into the picture. Luckily, I just happened to be looking on a forum online, just looking at basketball stuff, training stuff. And there was a thread about nutrition, and that kind of got my mind going, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that. That's probably important. Let me pay attention. But unfortunately, when I went down that route, I did things kind of the wrong way when it comes to nutrition. And I ended up cutting out carbs and went paleo as a type of fad diet. And I ended up losing 21 pounds in a month and a half. I was 6'5". I was standing at 6'5", 179. And that's just, it's not a good look if you're trying to compete physically at the college basketball level. And I was lightheaded at the end of practices because I wasn't eating enough. I didn't know what's going on. Luckily, though, I was fascinated by nutrition, and I kind of kept learning and ultimately figured out, oh, carbs are important. We'll get into that in a second. I should probably be eating enough food. I'm not doing this right. So I started to piece things together. And then that's where I started getting into helping other athletes and helping other friends of mine get their diets right. And that kind of led me into the whole coaching route. And eventually got to a point where I was doing the business, coaching people, putting out content, and still playing basketball. But then I decided to walk away from basketball just because it got to be too much of a time commitment on both sides. So I enjoyed this side of things and helping you guys more than actually playing at that point. So I decided to walk away. And that's kind of how I got into it. That was about, crazy to think about, but 2 years ago now. So I've been doing that for a couple of years and been fortunate to work with some super high level athletes. Like I can't really say the names, but one I think that I can say is, I don't know if you guys know who Filet is. Jesse Jones. I've been working with him. We just started working together about a month ago. He's been doing really well, but it's been a cool journey. So long story short, don't want this to be about me, but just a quick intro to myself and then getting into the content for today. And we're going to cover the first mistake. And literally this is so common. Like I was saying, I can count on one hand the amount of hoopers I've met and have worked with that have actually been eating enough. And under eating is the first major thing that you're doing. Like if you're doing this, I actually made a post about it on IG earlier today. By the way, my Instagram's down there, T Clark Nutrition. I made a post on IG earlier today talking about how if you're going into your workout underfueled, not having eaten enough, you're going into that workout with your gas tank half empty. It's like you're starting a road trip with your gas tank half empty. What's going to happen? You got to pull over more quickly, refuel, recharge, and get back out on the road. Same thing in your workouts. If you're going in underfueled and you have dead legs or you don't have stamina, you're trying to figure out what's going on. Why am I working super hard, but like I just can't last past the second half or into the second half? It's probably because you're not eating enough food. Now, to understand why this matters, it's kind of important to understand the overall idea of energy balance. And that's kind of the idea of calories in. So you take in food via the food that you eat. So the food that you eat has calories in it. That's energy. And then you burn calories through a number of different factors. So there's 4 of them. The obvious one being training, exercise, playing games, stuff like that. NEAT, as you see on the screen right now, is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And it sounds super complicated, but it's actually super simple. Just take the first 2 words, non-exercise. So me talking to you right now, I'm actually burning calories. Me moving my hands around, doing all these hand motions, it's burning calories. Me fidgeting in my chair or just going for a walk throughout the day, whatever, that's burning calories. So a lot of people don't realize that, but there are other things besides just training that burn calories. There's also your BMR, or basal metabolic rate. Excuse me. That's how many calories you burn at rest. So if I were to get up, just lay down on the floor right there, not do anything, not talk, not move a muscle, that would be how many calories I needed to burn to just keep the lights on, stay alive. And then the last component of that, and with all these, it's not critical that you memorize them by name. It's a little helpful, but don't stress. You're like, yo, what is this? I don't know what this is. Just kind of have a general idea of the fact that you take in calories via food, you expend calories, and that kind of relationship is super important. We'll get into why in a second. But that last one there, TEF, stands for thermic effect of food. And that's the idea that when you take in food, you actually have to burn calories to digest it. It's not like a major contributor to your calorie expenditure, how many calories you burn, but it does play a role. So those 4 components come together and add up to equal the amount of calories that you burn on a daily basis. And then the balance, hence the term energy balance, and the scale on the screen right now of what goes in and what goes out, we can change that and manipulate that depending on what your goal is. Does that overall process make sense? I know I just threw a lot of info at you. Does anyone have any questions about that whole idea?
Anyone? Good?
Then we're good. Cool.
Yeah,
cool. Now, what happens when energy out outweighs energy in? As a basketball player, when you're trying to perform at a high level on the court and your goal maybe isn't fat loss, like if you're trying to maximize performance, what happens when you're in a situation of negative energy balance, when the out outweighs the in? Excuse me. I'm going to run into issues with decreased performance. So like I was saying, dead legs, decreased stamina, unexplained plateaus. So if you're wondering, why am I not getting stronger in the gym? Why am I not getting faster? Why am I not getting more explosive? Why am I not improving overall? Like I'm doing all this work in the gym, but it's just not, like the amount of work I'm putting in is not directly translating into a result that I think I should be getting. May be able to be explained by being in a calorie deficit or eating too little calories. And then also to add on top of that, there's an increased injury risk, increased illness risk. So if you're trying to be healthy, and as you know, it doesn't matter how skilled you are when you get into your season, if you can't actually play, your sideline doesn't really matter. Or if you're playing, but you're limited by a nagging injury, like some tendonitis in your hip or your knees, jumper's knee, whatever, if you're limited by that, you're not going to be able to contribute on the court. So all these things are influenced by just how many calories you eat. And the cool thing is, like we'll get into in a second here, you don't have to track your food to eat enough calories. You don't have to weigh everything out on a scale to eat enough calories. There's some simple things we can do, as we'll discuss in a second, to fix this, but it's really important to understand the negative effects that not doing this correctly can have. So that way, hopefully this kind of motivates you to figure out like, oh crap, yeah, this kind of matters. Or, oh, that's why I've been having dead legs in my workouts. That's why I've been feeling gassed towards the end. My reps get sloppy. Like I couldn't figure it out. This is very likely an explanation for that. Now, the fix here, super simple. Like I said, you don't need to track anything. You don't need to do any complicated equations yet. It's crazy simple. Literally just build a consistent meal schedule, like 3 to 5 meals every single day. Just stay consistent with that. whether it's 3 meals, whether it's 5 meals, whether it's 4 meals, doesn't really matter. I would say don't go to 2 meals as a hooper because you're probably not going to get enough calories in. Even 3 meals is a little bit low for a lot of you. But 3 to 5 meals per day is kind of that sweet spot. More than 5 is not bad. It's just kind of tough from a practicality point of view. Like it's going to be hard to fit 6 different meals in or 7 different meals in throughout the day. You're going to feel like you're always eating. So if that's your preference, by all means, go for it. But that sweet spot seems to be 3 to 5 meals per day. And at this point, I don't even care what you're eating. I don't care if you're eating like super, super healthy or some questionable stuff. I don't really care. I just want you to eat 3 to 5 meals per day. Now, why does that work? It works because odds are you're probably eating 2 to 3 meals a day consistently right now. Most of you guys probably. That's what I see most often. If on a good day, when I talk to a player, it's like, oh yeah, I eat 3 meals a day. On a more common basis, it's like, I eat like 2 meals a day consistently, maybe 3. So by going up to 3 to 5 consistent, like day in, day out, you're getting that every single day. What are you doing? You're increasing your calorie intake without even trying. We're trying a little bit, like trying, but it's not that much extra effort to get like an extra meal or 2 in. And that's the first step I have nearly all my athletes take, whether they're a high school player, whether they're a D1 player, whether they're a professional level player. It doesn't really matter. I'll usually have them start there. So that's something super simple you could do that can make a really massive difference right off the bat. Does that make sense though? Like why that works?
You guys are good with that?
Yeah, I just have a question though.
What's up?
I have a question actually, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you said 3 to 5 meals. So if I'm gonna miss a meal and I'm going to practice, is it okay to like grab a Big Mac or something just because I'm gonna miss it, and you know it's like really bad for you? It's okay because it's calories, right?
Yeah, so that's where like context matters. So my answer there would be it depends. Right before practice, would I go for a Big Mac? Probably not. And would I do that on a regular basis? Probably not.
But just a one-off. If you're gonna miss a meal, just a one-off. Is it okay?
Like a one-off, I think that's fine. I wouldn't like go out of my way to recommend it. Okay. Before practice, I would just be careful that it doesn't give you an upset stomach. That's my main concern, to be honest. But if it doesn't, I don't see anything very wrong with it. Like I said, as long as it's a one-off thing, if it's happening every day, that's a different conversation. But on a one-off sort of situation, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Before practice is a little bit sketchy, but if it's like just a meal, like you're out with your friends or you're out with your family and like you just don't have access to any other food, then that's fine. But at the same time, I think about that though. If you're going to go to McDonald's, you can make a better choice than a Big Mac. You can get a grilled chicken sandwich. Is it great for McDonald's? Probably not, but it's better than a Big Mac. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that type of food. Now, if you just want a Big Mac for whatever reason, go ahead. Like absolutely everything in moderation. I'm never going to tell you not to have something or to completely cut something out of your diet, but that's just something to keep in mind too. Like if you're going to McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, any fast food place, you're going to be able to make at least a decent choice relative to the fast food place you're going. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but does that make sense?
Yeah, I have another question. Can I ask a question?
For sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So how about, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking of this, or they could be, on game days, like the amount of meals, because I'm sure you want the same amount on game days, but because for me, like I like to, like the way I eat, I'm not going to be honest, is not good on game days because I don't like to feel full before the game.
Okay.
And it's different than on off days where you're able to plan the day, but you might have a game, so you might want to eat differently, but then you don't plan out and get enough fuel usually. So how do you manage about the amount of meals and what you eat on the game days?
Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't undereat on game day. Now, if you don't want to eat a lot right before a game or earlier in the day, because that makes you feel kind of weighed down or sluggish, then that's fine.
Right.
But I would still make sure like get a good post game meal in, so you're not like just under eating, because that's gonna hinder recovery and coming back to that next game the next time. that could impact things. Now, the biggest thing there is make sure the day before and the days leading up to it are on point as well. Right. So as long as everything's on point, if you, let's say, have a lighter breakfast, a lighter lunch, maybe a pregame snack, nothing too crazy, but you've been fueling properly in the days leading up to it, and like you didn't do some crazy intense workout earlier in the day, you should be fine there. Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, and on game day routines, like on the routine topic, I would definitely have like a plan going into game day. Like you should have tested it out during the off season, find foods that work for you, find a routine that works for you. You shouldn't be trying new stuff on game day. Like every one of you guys in here should have like go-to meals for game day. Not even just from the nutrition side of things, like go-to warm-up routines, go-to like mental routines. Like everything on game day should be like a routine, because you want to leave as little up to chance as possible. Like you don't want to be thinking about, oh crap, what am I going to eat? Or oh crap, I got to do this now. Oh crap, this came up. You want to leave as much attention as possible on the actual game. So I would definitely have some sort of routine going into that. I mean, use this time where we don't have games, or at least a lot of them, to get that dialed in. So the season does pick back and start again, you have that routine in place. Yep, got you. Cool. So yeah, this first one, super simple, nothing too crazy. And if you literally take nothing else away from this seminar and just do this, you'll be in a better place. So I'm a really big fan of this one because it is crazy simple, and it does get you a lot of bang for your buck. Now, the second mistake, kind of building off mistake number one, is under eating carbs or carbohydrates. And carbohydrates are the most demonized macronutrient or macro or food group I think out there. You see a lot of things in social media saying carbs are bad for you, sugar is bad for you, you got to cut out carbs. And that's what I fell victim to when I first started with nutrition. And I ended up losing 21 pounds when I wasn't even trying to lose weight. I was trying to perform as a basketball player. Like I was not trying to lose 21 pounds. And I kind of fell victim to that. So we got to understand why carbs matter so much. Like, why are they so important? Why is it so bad to cut them out? And the main reason is that they're your primary fuel for training. Like they are the fuel in the fuel tank. Like I was saying, going into a workout under fueling is like going into a workout with your gas tank half full. If you're going into a workout eating enough calories, but like none of that's coming from carbs, if you're getting a lot of calories from fat or from protein, that's like trying to go into that road trip, but you're fueling like a regular car with diesel fuel. Like it's not going to work. Like you might be able to get a little bit, like a little bit of distance, but it's going to break down. Things aren't going to go right. So it's the same thing in this situation. You want to make sure you're getting the right type of fuel. And also carbohydrates fuel your nervous system, which is also key for training, because you don't want to make a mental lapse. And obviously basketball is very skill dominant, and your nervous system plays a key role in that. So you want to make sure your brain and the rest of your nervous system is on point to do its job. Also aids in recovery. They're muscle sparing. And what that means is that in a situation where you have plenty of carbs, your body's going to burn those carbs, break those down for energy before it breaks down muscle tissue. When you're in a low carb diet, especially if you combine a low carb and a low calorie diet, you're going to end up breaking down muscle tissue, which we do not want. You don't want to lose muscle as a basketball player. It's already hard enough to put on muscle as it is. Don't make it harder on yourself by putting yourself in that situation. And of course, they taste good. Most carb sources are pretty good, especially the processed ones, but even like just natural whole unprocessed ones like rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, fruits. There was a post on Instagram I saw going around, I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, saying like the dangers of fruit. Like if you see anything like that, please disregard it. Fruit is great for you. There's plenty of antioxidants, micronutrients, all that good stuff. There's nothing wrong with this. So just want to put that out there. Nothing really to do with this right now, but if you ever come across any of those like outlandish claims that just don't really seem to make sense, they're probably not right. So just be aware of that. You'll see a lot of those on social. But back to the general carbohydrate thing, really the main thing you got to remember from this is that they're your fuel. And if you're not eating enough carbs, you're not going to be fueled properly. You're probably going to feel like crap and train like crap. So definitely do not cut out carbs. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions about carbs, why they're important, why they matter, why they are not bad for you.
Yeah, Tommy, I got a question. So,
for sure.
Like, it may be a little irrelevant, but why do you think carbs are so demonized in the first place? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. So people look at things like blood sugar control, because I mean carbohydrates raise blood sugar. I mean, because they are made of sugar. Like that's just what happens. And obviously there's like negatives long term if your blood sugar stays chronically elevated. That usually doesn't happen though if you're eating an appropriate amount of calories. But people look at like the mechanism of, carbs elevate insulin and could potentially lead to insulin resistance, which leads to diabetes. And then there's this whole like kind of idea that carbs somehow lead to that, like just stand alone and they're bad for you, and like cause inflammation and all these like outlandish claims, which like in some contexts may be true, but it's not like you can't make a blanket statement about that in all people, especially athletes who need them. There are some people who might benefit from a lower carb diet, but basketball players are not one of them. That's the main thing, I think. And I mean, you see that also with all food groups. It's not just carbs. Like you see people advocating for low fat diets. That was like a really big thing in the 90s and in the 2000s. People being super afraid of fat. That's kind of shifted. Like you're probably a little too young to remember that. I am too. Like I really don't, but that's kind of shifted to more of a low carbohydrate craze now. But all food groups kind of go through it. You see it with the whole vegan movement with, meat's bad for you, it's this, that, cut out animal products. And if you want to go vegan for ethical reasons, that's a whole different conversation for a different time. But the point being that most food groups have some sort of like negative connotation around them, depending on where you look. There's always going to be someone that's saying, carbs are bad. Too much fat's bad for you. The thing is, like, too much of anything is not great for you. It's all about context and stuff like that.
And then also to answer someone's, or to go off of someone's previous question about like feeling on game days, about feeling like not wanting to feel full. Like I feel the same way, but to counteract that, wouldn't you just eat your pregame meal like earlier before, so your stomach has time to like digest it?
Yeah, that's what I would do. So if you're talking about like a typical game day, I'm not talking about like a tournament day, like, or an AAU game where you have one game like early in the morning for whatever reason. If you have like a typical high school game day where you're at least not training until afternoon or playing until afternoon, if not like 7 p.m. or something like that. I would still have a breakfast. I would definitely still have like a balanced, like normal sized breakfast. I would have a lunch, and then like that pregame snack or meal, just make it either a little bit lighter, like not a ton of food. Because if you have enough food early in the day, like you're fine. As long as you're not like doing a whole second workout. Like I know, Maddie, you're a big fan of Kobe, so you might be doing that.
I know. Yeah.
But if you're doing that, of course, be mindful of that. But if you're not like doing a crazy like workout early in the day on game day, you probably don't have to worry about that. But yeah, if you don't want to feel super full, which you shouldn't going into a game, either like move the meal time back a little bit or decrease the meal size a little bit, or a little bit of both.
And then last question is about so it said it was previous, you said consistent meal schedule. So by consistent, like I understand like 3 to 5 meals per day, but let's say my dinner, like, does it matter if it's like one day it's 6 p.m., the other day it's 8 p.m., or do you want to keep it usually at the same?
Yeah, so like in a perfect world situation, around the same time is great. I don't think like the difference between 6 and like 6:30 is that massive. Like 6 and 8, it's a pretty considerable difference. Now, is that going to make or break anything? No, it's not. I'm more concerned that you just get 3 to 5 meals in per day consistently. So if you have class one day or a training session one day and that changes your schedule, then just adjust based on that schedule change. I wouldn't overthink that one.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. I appreciate the questions. All right, let's see. What happens when you cut out carbs? So like I was saying, you get lack of energy, feeling gassed, dead legs, poor recovery, less enjoyment, not great looks if you're trying to really be the best basketball player you can be. So again, building off that last mistake, so under eating, you just want to make sure you're getting the right type of fuel in. So if you're someone who does feel gassed later in games or has those dead legs or just kind of feels like a liability physically, especially in the fourth quarter or later in workouts, your reps get sloppy, you're not as sharp, you're not getting the most out of it, or you're not recovering well between workouts, between games, and you're achy and it's just not feeling good right now, definitely look at your carb intake and see, are you eating plenty of carb sources like rice and oats and sweet potatoes and white potatoes and fruits and vegetables and all those great things. So carbs are important, and whoever tells you they're not, as a basketball player, don't listen to them. Show them this video when it's up on YouTube. There's also plenty of people finally talking about like how good carbs are for you. So hopefully that makes sense and hopefully that resonated with you guys. But again, just please, speaking from experience of cutting out carbs, you don't want to feel lightheaded during a game. Like my freshman year in college, like I wasn't playing heavy minutes. I was like maybe 5 minutes off the bench, and like coming out the game, I felt lightheaded. I was like, that shouldn't be happening. Like that's not a good thing. So don't cut out carbs. They're very important. All right. Mistake number 3, another crazy simple one, yet it's so overlooked and it's very important. It's dehydration. So not drinking enough water throughout the day. Now, why does water even matter? What does it do? It helps you get rid of waste. Obviously, you go pee every day. Maintains your blood volume, helps you get nutrients to your muscle cells and different cells in your body. That's how like your nutrients get once you eat them, digest them, absorb them, and go into your blood. You have to go through your blood to get to your muscle cells or wherever they're going in your body. Aids in digestion. Absorption of key minerals and key vitamins and minerals. There's certain types of minerals called fat soluble and water soluble, kind of beyond the scope of this individual presentation, but the water is key in absorbing minerals from the food that you eat and vitamins from the food that you eat. Sorry, I tripped over my words there. Also lubricates your joints. Make sure your joints are able to move smoothly. So that's also very important as a hooper, and helps regulate your body temperature. Obviously you sweat when you get hot. That's regulating your body temperature. Now, how much water should you be drinking per day? Super simple. A little bit of math here, but it's crazy simple. You pretty much just take your body weight, so that's what BW stands for, body weight divided by 2. And that's how many ounces of water you're going to be drinking per day. So for example, I'm about 220 pounds, divide that by 2, 110 ounces, or 110. So I'm going to be drinking 110 ounces per day. So if you're 150 pounds, divide that by 2. That's going to give you 75. I can't do math in my head, but I'm pretty sure that's right. You'll be looking to drink 75 ounces. Now, that's assuming you're not doing any sort of training. You're just chilling. It's an off day. If you're training, you're going to want to add about 16 ounces of water, or just 15 to 20 ounces of water for every hour of training. That's a pretty generic recommendation. You can get a little bit more individualized here. And like weigh yourself before and after training and kind of calculate based on that. But really, just to start, I would just go with 15 to 20 ounces. So about 1 extra water bottle per hour of training. And as far as easy tips to make this happen and to avoid dehydration, there are 3 things that I like to implement right off the bat that are, again, crazy simple. It's not, you don't have to overhaul your life to implement these. Super easy. The first one just being use a reusable water bottle. Like use a hydro flask, or doesn't have to be that fancy. Like just any reusable water bottle that you have, so you don't have to rely on hoping there's water somewhere. Right now, it's maybe not as difficult because you're at home, but or probably at home more often because the whole situation going on right now. But in general, use a reusable water bottle so you have the ability to refill it throughout the day. And it's easier to remind you that, oh yeah, this is empty, I got to refill it, versus forgetting that you finished your water bottle and 6 hours later you haven't drank anything. You're like, why am I so tired? Oh yeah, I'm dehydrated. So use a water bottle, a reusable one. And then also you can set reminders. Again, seems super simple. It's like reminders, but you'd be surprised how many people forget. And I'm guilty of this too. I forget all the time. I get caught up in editing and doing podcasts and working out, whatever I'm doing throughout the day, and I just forget to drink enough water. So setting reminders, or if you're the type of person like me that sees reminders and like just dismisses them and doesn't do anything about them, set an alarm so that way you actually have to do something, or it's more likely that you'll do something. And then that last one is actually super helpful, the AM chug. And what I mean by that is first thing in the morning, after you weigh yourself, but first thing in the morning for the most part, chug about 32 ounces of water, or at least a couple glasses of water in the morning. And what that's going to do is that's going to help rehydrate you, because in the evening, what happens is you get dehydrated. You lose body water. You sweat, and just during sleep, you lose body water. So you wake up in a dehydrated state. Drinking that water in the morning helps to rehydrate you. And it makes it much more likely that you'll hit your daily hydration goal, because, like I said, for example, let's say you're 150 pounds, and you have to drink, let's say, 100 ounces of water because you have just your baseline, and then let's say you train about 2 hours in a day. If you drink 32 ounces in the morning, you've just taken a third out of that hydration goal. It's going to be a lot easier to drink 67, 66 ounces the rest of the day versus not drinking anything in the morning and remembering halfway through the day, like, oh crap, I stopped to drink 100 ounces of water, time to chug. But if you get that done in the morning, it's a lot easier. So if you do those three things, or just one of them even, that'll put you in a really, really good spot. And hydration is just one of those things that is, it's crazy simple, but it is extremely important. It affects just about every aspect of physical performance, from like physical performance, mental performance, injury risk, your ability to burn body fat, ability to build muscle. And I think I said injury risk already, but it's worth repeating because injury risk, obviously we don't want that to go up. We want to limit that as much as possible. So hydration is extremely important, but extremely simple to fix. So that's the good thing. And that should be a common theme among these three things that you've seen, is that they're crazy, crazy simple. Now that you know these things, if you just walk out of here and like ignore them and like, okay, cool, that's cool, but then like don't actually do anything about it, you're literally putting yourself in a position to waste your hard work. Like there's no way to sugarcoat it. Like, you know, these things matter now, you know why they matter. If you still don't understand why, ask a question, ask me to clarify it, but you should understand, like, okay, it's pretty important. It's pretty clear why these three things matter. And like nutrition is going to impact my performance. So do something about it. Don't just walk out of here. Don't be the guy that's like, oh, that's cool, but then like a week later hasn't done anything about it. I had a nutritionist come to my school in high school. At the time, it didn't quite click for me. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll start watching my diet. I did it for about a week, and then I kind of just went back to what I was doing before. It wasn't until college, like I said, that I kind of figured it out. But my goal is that for you, you can kind of realize this a little bit earlier. You can get on the right track a little bit earlier than I did, because it will help you in the short term. And ultimately, if your goal is to play in college, whether it's D1, D2, D3, ultimately the professional level, if that's your goal, like, unless you're a genetic freak, you better be doing all the little things that are going to help you separate yourself, because at that level, it's crazy competitive. Like you look at like a random league in like Indonesia, like it's still like D1 guys that are competing for spots. And it's like, you gotta really do everything in your power, especially if you weren't like blessed with like amazing genetics. Like, besides my height, I wasn't the quickest, most athletic, stuff like that. I obviously didn't end up playing pro, but I did get to play in college. So those little things do matter a lot.
Like, yeah, just really quickly, like you said, even at the top level, like especially at the Division I level, it's like, how do you separate when all those guys are top notch? Everyone's just as everyone's the star on their team in high school in D1. Yeah. So it's like, now it's like, what little thing can give you that slight advantage? And that's the thing, you know, with nutrition. I think this is why it's so huge. Even if it's not Division I, it's just providing yourself an opportunity and giving yourself an advantage over somebody else. Go ahead. Sorry. For sure. No, yeah, 100%. I mean, the good news, like you see on the screen right now, the good news is that it's crazy simple. Like we've been talking about, nothing we've discussed today is rocket science. Maybe the most complicated thing was like the whole idea of energy balance, but even that is not crazy difficult. It's actually there to fix all this stuff. The biggest thing is you just got to do it. Like, you got to be doing it consistently. You'll notice improvements in a week, especially like 2 weeks of doing this. You'll see improvements, but really it shouldn't be something that you ever fall off of. Like, don't put yourself in a position where you like fall off of your diet. Like, that shouldn't be your mentality around it. It should just be a lifestyle. And that's what I work on with my clients, athletes. I work with my program, my one-on-one program, all that stuff. So really, hopefully
what we talked about today was great, like really simple, really easy for you to go and apply and stuff like that. So like I said, when you fix them, you should notice a difference immediately in your performance. Obviously, things like fat loss and muscle gain take some time, but in terms of performance, like if you go from like not eating enough to eating enough food, you'll notice that like overnight, or at least in a couple of days, you'll feel better. I had one guy, pro player, played over in Italy last season, just actually wrapped up the season in Israel. I think he's back home in the States now, but he's playing pro. When we started working together last season, he was like 6'9", 240, eating 1,800 calories a day. And he's like, oh, I feel tired in the third quarter. I was like, yeah, you're eating the amount of calories that like not even a teenager should be eating. That's like the amount of calories like an 8-year-old should be eating. I don't know. But long story short, he was just under eating. When we started increasing, starts to feel better pretty quickly. It's like, oh, damn, yeah, I didn't feel as tired today. Yeah, this stuff, it works. It works. So again, take action on it. Don't just sit here and listen to me talk and not do anything with it. You got to actually implement this stuff. So any questions about anything that we discussed today, or just anything in general with nutrition?
This is your time. If you have something written down or just anything you want to ask,
take advantage of it, man. My clients pay for the Zoom Q&As, so definitely feel free to ask any questions you got.
Sorry, excuse me. Nothing? Anybody?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Trying to build muscle and stuff like that. How important is having like different types of protein, like whether it's like whey protein or like chicken, meat, or whatever? How important is that?
Yeah, I would say in general, variety is a good thing. So I wouldn't eat the same exact protein source over and over and over and over again. But it's not like make or break. So if you like chicken for whatever reason, and you have chicken more often than other protein sources, it's not the end of the world. As long as you're having like animal-based protein sources that have that full essential amino acid profile, you're fine. If you were plant-based or vegan, it's a little bit more of a concern of getting variety in your protein sources, just because there are some limitations there. But based on your question, so I wouldn't stress too much about it. Get some variety in there, but don't stress about it too much.
All right.
But eating is important, correct?
What was that?
Eating, having a protein source in order to build muscle.
Oh yeah, protein is important. That one's usually not as much of an issue. Like it's more common to see people actually eating enough protein. Like they've done studies on it, looked at like Premier League soccer players, and found that they tend to actually eat a decent amount of protein. Some athletes do undereat it, but for the most part, it's not as big of an issue as people think. But yeah, it's definitely important to eat enough. If you're not eating enough, then you're gonna have a tough time putting on muscle, maintaining muscle mass during a fat loss phase, and stuff like that. Cool. Any other questions, guys?
I have a question.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't struggle with like protein because I use protein powders to like help me get to my protein goals, but I struggle with carbs. How can I increase my carb intake?
Got you. So when it comes to increasing the intake of any sort of food group, the biggest thing is just have a general understanding of like what foods are in that food group. If you can do that, like it'll be crazy easy. Now, when looking at carbs, things like rice, white or brown, doesn't matter. They're both totally fine. Things like oats, things like potatoes, white potatoes, cereal, pasta, bread, things like that. Just getting more of those things in your diet, and you'll increase your carb intake. The biggest thing is just knowing like where your carbs are coming from. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, awesome.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Oh, okay. No, you go.
Oh, okay. Do you think we should be eating carbs like before and after games and practices, or like just before?
Yeah, I would definitely go with both. Because after, like, you got to refuel. Like that's the main priority of that post-workout meal is refueling. And right after a game or right after any sort of physical activity, the mechanisms in your body to actually refuel, like the enzymes and the stuff in your muscles at a cellular level, kind of getting a little deeper in the weeds here. But those things are all upregulated, meaning they're more active, it's more effective. So getting those carbs in pretty soon after you train is important from that perspective. Also, it helps kind of, an interesting thing with carbohydrates is it helps shift you from like an amped up, like game mode, like where you're just like amped up, stressed out in a good way, but you're amped up and stressed out, back into a sort of recovery and more relaxed state. Carbohydrates also play a role in that. So definitely important to have them in both situations.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And someone else had a question?
Oh, yeah, that was me, Tommy, sorry.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So basically, I know I've spoke to you about like my like hill workouts and like throwing up because like I gulp down too much water and stuff. But like now, so what I've been doing is like sipping and having like a lighter meal before, very light, like because I watched like your YouTube video on early morning workouts. So sometimes I even like don't even have it like take a snack at all. I just like go off from the fuel from last night. So anyway, like I still feeling like, okay, it's kind of disgusting, but like during the workouts, like I won't throw up completely, but like I'll have like a little throw up in my mouth. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how hard are you pushing yourself in those workouts?
Like insanely.
Okay, so I don't think that's really a nutrition issue. I think that's more of like just be mindful of how hard you're going. I know like you're super motivated and like you want to push yourself, but just remember to train smart too. So if that's happening every workout or close to every workout, you probably want to dial it back just a little bit. And remember, like recovery is just as important as the hard work. So you got to put yourself in a position where you're recovering enough to actually train hard effectively. And I think there's a time and a place, like I know, like the Kobe, like blackout workouts and stuff like that. And like, that shouldn't be every workout. That shouldn't be very often, to be honest. Like you got to remember Kobe's just built different. Like he had the work ethic, but he also had insane genetics to be able to handle the work that he put his body through. So you got to keep that in mind too. And definitely like absolutely work hard. But just be mindful of like the recovery aspect, because that's also important, and that's something a lot of hoopers overlook, especially the ones who are wired to kind of follow that sort of example. So
I will say though, listen, like it has helped. Like if I were like in the past, like follow what I regularly do, I would have like threw up completely and like felt way worse. So like watching.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely steps in the right direction, but yeah, just be mindful of it. Yeah, I don't think that's really a nutrition thing. I think that's more of just like be mindful of like how hard you're pushing yourself in every workout.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Of course. Cool. Any other questions, guys?
I'm gonna throw one out there if no one has one. That's the we'll probably do one. This is the last one. If anyone thinks of anything, cut me off. All right, this is just general. I mean, we covered it on the podcast we did.
Yeah.
What should a typical plate of food look like?
Yeah, so with every plate of food you have, you should kind of go through a mental checklist of, okay, does this have a protein source? Does this have a carbohydrate source? And does this have some sort of color? So a fruit or a vegetable. If you're checking out those three things, they'll probably be in a pretty good spot. Now, the portion sizes of those three things are going to vary depending on your goals, depending on the intensity of the workouts that day. So a low intensity plate would be half your plate is like fruit and vegetables. 1/4 of your plate is protein. 1/4 of your plate is carbohydrates. Also, I have a visual of this. So if you want that, just go ahead and text me. I'll put my number in the chat. Feel free to just hit me up, shoot me a text. I'll send that over to you. But for that low intensity plate, that was private to Josh, sorry. One sec. There we go. Okay, so yeah, if you want that, just send me a text. But that would be low intensity, and then medium intensity will be just like 1/3 of your plate is each of those categories. So 1/3 protein, 1/3 carbs, 1/3 color, And high intensity, or if like your goal is muscle gain or something like that, you're a hard gainer, you're trying to put on some mass, would be half your plate is carbohydrates, so like things like rice, pasta, etc. 1/4 of your plate's protein, 1/4 of your plate is color. So that's kind of what a typical plate should usually look like. Of course, if you want to have ice cream, pizza, candy, whatever, have that in moderation. There's no reason to cut that out. You don't need to cut that out. Just be mindful of it. Like, are you having that every single day after every meal? Consider that. But if you're having it a couple times a week, just in moderation, don't stress over it. You shouldn't really focus on cutting things out. Focus on adding the good stuff in. But that's typically what I recommend in terms of what your plate should look like.
All right, I have another question.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I may be wording this like wrong, but like, what role does in terms of like your metabolism play? Because like I know my brother, he can literally eat like a ton of food, and then afterwards not exercise at all, and like somehow like still stay skinny, like, and not skinny fat, but like actually like very skinny, if that makes sense. And, like, burn it off, I guess. I don't know. Like,
yeah. So I mean, my first question there would be like, or my first like kind of line of thought there would be, okay, he's eating a ton of food, but like, is he eating like 2 meals a day, or like not that many meals in a day? Because then that could be also a thing where maybe he's eating like 2 big meals, but it adds up to like 2,000 calories, and it's like not that much overall. So that's probably what's going on there. Or he might have like a naturally faster metabolism. Some people do, some people don't.
Like, I think genetically, I got like a slower metabolism compared to, like, I feel like I'm more do you think, would you agree with this? Like, certain people are more prone to put on weight than others, like, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a genetic component to it. I don't think it's as overblown as like, oh, if you have this genetic, like this gene expression, you're screwed. Like, you're going to be fat the rest of your life. Like, that's not going to happen. But I think there, I mean, to almost everything, there's some sort of genetic component. So yeah, I think there definitely is a role that genetics is playing there. I don't think it's as big as some people like to think it is, because some people like to use it as like a cop out of like, I just put on weight easily. Like I can't, or common basketball issue. I don't gain weight. I'm just not built for it. So it goes both ways, but yeah, I think there definitely is a component there though.
So like, how would I adjust if I have like a slower metabolism, or would I adjust at all?
Assuming everything's going fine and like you're seeing progress, I wouldn't adjust anything. That's why you want to track metrics. Cause I mean, if you have a slow metabolism, but you're seeing good progress, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't fix it if it ain't broken. But if you notice, okay, I'm putting on extra weight, I don't want to, like something's wrong, then okay, maybe we decrease calories a little bit or something like that. But yeah, don't overthink it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut it there.
For sure. Also, before we wrap up too, just want to give you guys a chance, like if you guys are interested in that 8-week program, because like I was saying, there's usually 1 or 2 people in these types of seminars. Like I said earlier, the ones that watch it and are like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to get my diet right. And then you do for like a day or a week, maybe a month, but at some point, at one point or another, you fall off. Like it's nearly inevitable. And usually when you fall off, you don't get back on track. You're back at square one. You're like, well, screw it. The other type is actually going to like take action on it and like get this stuff right and be consistent with it. And really, like I said, you see results pretty much immediately in terms of your performance, but to like see like the results you want to see and like get where you really want to be in terms of separating yourself from your competition, gaining more muscle, losing body fat, performing at a high level, being faster, stronger, more explosive, all those things at like a high level, that takes time. So you got to have that consistency. So what I wanted to do was offer you guys a spot in the 8-week program. It just opened back up. I'm actually give you guys half off if you want that. I'll leave that open for the rest of tonight and maybe tomorrow. I know you guys might have to talk to your parents, stuff like that. By all means, go ahead. But I think my number is in the chat, and I think it is right here too. So let me know if you want that. It is open. It just opened back up tonight. 3 people already got their spots before this, not from the seminar, but just in general. So I'm excited about it. And it's going to help you. Kind of what it does is like take you step by step through the entire process I use with my athletes from the high school level, college level, professional level, like whether you're like the 12th man on your JV team, or like guys like Filet that I work with that are like super high level, like the exact same process, walks you through it, makes you have everything dialed in that you need to really be successful with your nutrition without giving up like your lifestyle and your favorite foods and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that and you think that could benefit you, I'm here. Shoot me a text and I'll send you the link. I'll also type the link in the chat right now.
Yeah,
if you just want to go directly there.
I'm not gonna say the price because I don't want to put it on like social media, but he's giving us a really good deal on it. So definitely, if you're interested, I would definitely suggest it, and it's definitely affordable. It's not as expensive as you think it would.
Oh, it's a steal. Like I think it comes out to like I think less than
like almost $10, or a little more than $10 a week.
Yeah, it's less than like $2 a day. So if you're going out and buying like Starbucks or like some sort of like just fast food or whatever, or just like literally anything, you could afford this. So I try to make it as accessible as possible because I know like high school guys, college guys and girls on a budget, and that might be limiting you from actually dialing in your nutrition, but I want to help you guys out. So it'll be a great opportunity for you guys. I'm super excited about it. We have our first group going through it right now. They're getting really good results. They're really enjoying it. So I'm super excited about this second group and keeping it going from there. So definitely let me know. Either shoot me a text or just go to that link that I put in the chat right now and secure your spot. And once you register, you'll get the first video and you'll be off and running. And we'll be on these Q&As, these like kind of type of Q&As every single week. Full hour with me asking me questions, direct access to me in a Facebook group, tons of video resources, a grocery list, everything you would need to really get your diet right and actually make it a lifestyle. Not even a diet, but like actually make it your lifestyle and stick to it and enjoy it and get results. And all that good stuff. Clearly, I'm excited about it. So hopefully you are too. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a lot of you guys in there.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you guys, I would definitely take advantage of this. Just because it's like it's the longest off season of in the history of everything. So we don't know if we're gonna have winter sports, but if we do, we got, what is this? This is August, mid-August. So like if you start now and you start building these habits going into tryouts in the season, right? You're ahead of the game. You're gonna go back to conditioning.
Yeah.
A step ahead. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like,
yeah.
I'm telling you, like I said, I don't want to tell the price, but like it's really, really affordable.
And I'll say it's $97 for the entire 8 weeks. Okay. So like I usually charge my pro guys like $250 a month to work with me. Yeah. And for like the entire 8 weeks is $97. You get direct access to me. Like it's a crazy deal. So if y'all want in on that, let me know. No, you're good. You're good. There's nothing to hide. It's just I'm excited about it because it's a crazy deal. So definitely let me know if you want in. If you know anyone else who wants in and y'all sign up together, I might do some special for you guys. So just let me know. But hopefully we'll see some of you guys in there.
Yeah. All right, Tom. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for everything.
For sure.
Guys, please follow him on IG, T Clark Nutrition. All right. He puts out free content at least like 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. Also check out his podcast, The Performance Project. Please check it out. It's really good. Definitely I'm subscribed, so just check it out. He does talks and stuff like this. He interviews people who are high up in the nutrition game as well as basketball game, and then kind of intertwining both of them, getting people's thoughts. It's really, really good stuff. So if you're really serious about providing yourself an opportunity to give yourself an advantage, I'd really, really take advantage. Even if you don't do this 8-week program, his content he puts out for free is something you guys should really be studying and looking into, because then and so also subscribe to his YouTube channel. That way you guys will have, access, and he gave you his number too. So, he's fully accessible to you guys. That's the whole point, of a partnership. I want to be able to give him some of you guys. If you guys want to take advantage of this, it's up to you. But I did my part because as no days off training, I want to provide, everything as a holistic style of training from, mental, physical, and the physical part is part nutrition. So this is a huge component and aspect to everything, and I really wanted to help you guys out. So now it's up to you guys to make that decision. But like I said, Tommy, thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. We'll be in contact. I definitely want to, I might even, to be honest, I'm thinking about joining this too, just to
let's do it. I'm down.
Just to get in and see what I can do to help myself too, because I'm kind of, for y'all don't know, my bounce is coming back. I'm feeling really good about it, but I haven't been eating well lately, so maybe I'll get a couple of.
Oh yeah, you got to get on this then.
Yeah. Sure. But no, all right. So, but seriously, thank you guys. I'm gonna post this on YouTube. Put this on the podcast, my podcast, the NDO Podcast, and then obviously you guys have access to Tommy, and then we'll link. I'll see some of you guys this weekend for workouts. And then, thank you for tuning in, and, keep on the lookout for both of us. We're trying to help you guys put out basketball content and nutrition content on both sides, and, coexist and try to make you guys, put you guys in the best position to be successful as you guys can be. All right. So,
awesome, Steve, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yo, Steve, what's your podcast?
It's called the NDO Podcast.
NDO Podcast?
NDO, like No Days Off, NDO Podcast.
Oh, got you. I'm going to subscribe.
Okay, appreciate that. I'm trying to, my podcast is about basketball culture, but I haven't really been doing that because we haven't had basketball, and now we've had basketball, but I've been so busy, I haven't been able to get on it and talk about it. I usually do Mondays where I talk about mental health and, things like that. So to help you guys, think outside the box and motivate you guys to push yourself for the week, no matter what you're going through and stuff like that. So I really just talk on it, and I try to interview. I interviewed Tommy last week. Former hoopers on both men's and women's side, all over the place. Trainers. I'm trying to get into coaches soon, so let them tell their story and things like that. So I appreciate the support. I'm just thankful for you guys that showed up to this, to show me you guys are pretty serious about this. And I definitely want you guys to succeed in what you do. So, I see some of you guys this weekend. I think I'm seeing about 5 of you in this chat this weekend, probably Saturday. But, yeah. All right. So have a good night. Please stay safe, keep grinding, do what you got to do. And let's keep getting better. Let's strive to be great. All right. I'll see you guys.
Perfect. Talk to you soon, bro. I appreciate you.
No doubt. Have a good night.